Thank you very much, Peter, for the introduction. And as you already stated, FIcontent is the use case project within the FIPPP that takes care of the media domain. So it's basically about content, about multimedia content in several areas. Or to be more precisely, it's about 3 areas. It's the social connected TV, the smart city services, and the pervasive games area. And my speech following will circle around those 3 areas. And I would like to have a look what the exploitation perspectives for the platforms as well as the specific enablers in those areas could look like, and would like to give you some examples to illustrate that. So FIcontent, we summarize our mission statement with driving innovation at the crossroads of content, media, creativity, and networks. So it's not just about TV, it's not just about gaming, but it's about those 3 areas all together. And therefore, we develop 3 platforms that address those specific domains. So there is one platform that takes care of the social connected TV. So it's about applications and topics like multi-screen interaction, personalized TV experience, and user tracking and privacy, which is, of course, very important when it comes to user data. So the second platform is the smart city services, which is very much related to the talk we held already by Linda, and it enables you to share live information within a city with respect to a certain event, for example. So it's about the live communication about events, about live events, and the contextualization of data, of multimedia data for those events. So last but not least, it's the pervasive games platform that aims at delivering services, specific enablers for augmented reality, so that you can use your old board games, for example, augmented with digital objects, digital information. It's about the toys you could build based on those augmented reality technologies. And it's also about installations in citywide games. So this is once again related to the smart city services platform somehow. And then it's about the blending real and virtual world, and how you can play in those 2 worlds to have a greater game experience, so to speak. The general approach in FIcontent is likely the push model and the pull model combined. So FIcontent develops several technologies and services that base on fireware components, on generic enablers, for example, the cloud hosting. And then we test those technologies in several user communities at several experimentation sites across Europe, so that we gather on one hand the feedback from the end users in order to redefine the development process and in order to define new features and so forth. So what FIcontent is able to bring to the table for exploitation to date is 18 specific enablers, at least so far, that are coming from the several platforms. So they are, for example, taking care of virtual and mixed reality, for example. They take care of second screen technology, so the question how you are able to synchronize between the first and the second screen in social connected TV areas. It's about how you are able to track physical objects on your board game, for example, and enrich them with digital content, and so forth. So when it comes to the exploitation of those specific enablers and the platform, then it's when it comes back to the cloud model, it's those 2 models that could apply. It's the platform as a service, and it's also the software as a service. And especially if you focus on SMEs, then there are several challenges and opportunities that are that come across when you talk to SMEs and listen to what are your opportunities, or what opportunities do you see in cloud computing. That's basically the same as we heard before. So the expectations towards cloud computing are okay. It lowers the entry barriers to a market. So we have faster access to technology, therefore we can develop products faster and be faster in the market with real products. Then it's very important the concentration on core competencies, so that you do not have to develop the piece of software again and again in the market. That should lead to shorter time of the market, quick access to resources, flexible use of resources, that's about scaling, and so forth. But on the other hand, there are several obstacles and concerns that are related to cloud computing in SMEs. And as we've heard before, there are some concerns regarding the security. Either the security is unsatisfying, or it's unclear what types of security level are provided. Last but not least, once again, it's the lack of interoperability, the standards, and of course, when it comes to such an early stage in the market, there are no best practices for media areas, for example. So to give you an example how the exploitation could look like, let's have the example of one specific enabler. It's the so-called second screen framework that is related to the social connected TV platform, and it basically allows the communication between the first and the second screen in an HBB TV environment. So it basically allows the content producer and the broadcaster to launch applications on your tablet, on your smartphone, for example, to enable interactive content. So what did happen here is that T-Systems, it's a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom, licensed this specific enabler and built a service around it. So they built a cloud service that which comes along with a 24/7 service, and they are targeting broadcasters. So they take basically the specific enablers, incorporate into their own service model based on a licensing scheme, and this cooperation has already been announced at CeBIT this year, so you probably heard of that. Well, this is one example for the exploitation of a specific enabler with an established industry partner. There are others that are more in terms of startups, in terms of young companies that are seeking to use a specific enabler in order to add value to their own business model. So the AppSend is another example that makes use of the audio fingerprinting specific enabler. And this company is a Romanian startup that is basically, or its business is app development, but of course you need to know how to compete with all the other app developments. So they decided to take a technological approach to distinguish from their competitors. So they used the audio fingerprinting specific enabler that allows you to synchronize content between the first and the second screen, which only requires the audio signal. So there is no specific protocol or something needed. And also this application is available on the Apple App Store since March 2014. So last month it got announced, which is, I think, a good example for the usage or the leveraging specific enablers by a startup and a young company in Romania. Another approach, which is also related to the software as a service area, is closely related to the smart cities topic. It's a so-called Kivano specific enabler that basically allows you to combine real-world objects and virtual objects. So a possible application for that would be that you have some sort of smart city guy. When you walk through Brussels and you're looking for a taxi, then you could see taxis driving around on your map, for example. And the customer segments that are envisioned for that are tourism services, for example. And the offering that is foreseen behind that is a cloud-based API, so software as a service, that targets two customer segments, a service provider on one hand and a content provider on the other hand. To be more specific, the service provider, this could basically be SMEs that do not have to rebuild the technology but can build on top of those existing services, so they do not have to repeat the same development again and again. While on the other hand, the content providers could use this software as a service and enrich the content that is on this service with their own virtual objects, so that they add value to the existing service and enrich it with additional content. So the idea behind that is to position the Kivano-specific enabler as a tool for developers and entrepreneurs in fields like the citywide gaming, where you can game and exchange information. So coming from the smart city services to a platform model, to the platform as a service, when you have a look at game development and especially SMEs in the games area, there are a lot of obstacles that could be overcome by new technologies, by such a games platform. So if you want to develop a game, then you have a lot of problems, or you have to put a lot of effort into writing core services again and again. So if you have a look at the SME environment in the games area, they all need to write core services, for example, how to store sensitive information about users, about gaming data, for example. On the other hand, when they try to scale, when they use infrastructure, they turn to Amazon or similar offers, and then they have the problem, like me, I have only 1 minute left to go, but so they have infrastructure, but this infrastructure doesn't come along with a game server environment. So the developers have to set it up and set it up and set it up, and that's just a lot of repeated work across SMEs. So those obstacles shall be overcome by the usage of the pervasive games platform. The basic idea behind that is that you would be in the position to use a combination of technology and computer vision, like the augmented reality specific enablers, in combination with the gameplay you create and the easy access to the technology. So a very important point in that value proposition is the ease of access, the ease of use. So that comes along with the modular approach that has been chosen to develop this platform. So it's not a monolithic system, but it can be used in combination with other toolboxes. So for example, if you have a look at game development, then you can use it with Unity framework, for example. So that should have two effects on the business side. On the one hand, it is expected that it lowers the market entry barriers for the startups and SMEs. And on the other hand, and this is very important, the SMEs can focus on making content and not on handling technology, and not to deal with complex technology, but still make use of this latest technology. So that brings me to a short summary. The current approaches in market cultivation coming from FIcontent is that there are, on one hand, the corporations with established industry players to bring these specific enablers to the market. On the other hand, cooperation with smaller companies, with the innovative startups, which both build services, as we've seen, on top of the FIcontent technologies and enriching the content technologies, adding value to that. And the effect that is envisioned is the barriers are lowered, so the SMEs can focus on their core competencies. And last but not least, this is still going on, so we are open for any discussions, and we are looking forward to have new opportunities for exploitation with the all new Phase 3 projects coming in to this. So that's basically from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.